Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Neo. The long-awaited set that you guys really loved. This client is back for a new set. Just showing you, she had these for about 5 weeks and they've grown out, and there was a very minimal lifting. They lasted so well and she got so many compliments. This was one of my favorite sets, but I have to apologize to you. When she came in for a redesign on that set, actually I ran out of space on my camera and didn't end up having the footage for this set. So she got this really cool sage green, yellow and white marble set that was cut down a little bit shorter, and she had this set for about 3 weeks before coming in for a new set. So we didn't actually get to see this one, but I did include a little bit of the removal process just so that you can see what that's like. I like to use my 5-in-1 carbide bit. This is a 3 times coarse, so extra coarse, and I have my e-file sped up at all the way to the top, so 35,000 RPM, and I've got my Young Nails dust collector out. As you know, I love this dust collector in terms of removing sets. Whenever there's just excessive dust that's gonna be collected on the table, I just prefer to use it, especially for removing sets. I always have the dust collector down, but if it's just for finish filing, I don't really use a dust collector. And as you can see, there's dust all over my hand and all over the collector. That's a part of it. But in terms of removing the set, I don't really focus on applying too much pressure. I kind of just let the bit and the speed do the work. So I'm taking my time using the tip of this 5-in-1. 5-in-1s are great because they have smaller teeth at the tip of the bit and larger teeth at the middle and back of the bit. So when it comes close to, going around the edges of the enhancement, around the cuticle and sidewall area, I can, be rest assured to know that I'm not going to nick the client or anything like that. And I also just make sure to use my other fingers as counterbalances or fulcrum so that I can, control the amount of pressure I'm placing on the nail. Especially at that speed, you do not want to place this bit down super hard on the nail. It will burn your client, eat through, and potentially hurt them. One thing that you are seeing is that I do have that really cool, nice base layer of clear acrylic. So I like to lay a clear acrylic layer down on all of my sets before going in with any design or colored acrylic or anything like that. And that's because of this reason right here. Number one, when clients come back in for a redesign, 9 times out of 10, my clients aren't asking for new tips. It's just a longer service that way. I like to file down to that clear acrylic layer, and it just gives me a visual representation of when to stop. So we can see the marble of those colors. And once I start filing through that colored acrylic, we can kind of see when the tip becomes clear. You can see her natural nail. There we go. We're getting through the product, and that's a visual cue for me to lessen the pressure, to work on a different area and just remove the colored acrylic, because that clear acrylic is sitting well on the nail. If there happens to be lifting, usually around the back of the nail, because that's usually where my clients end up getting lifting, or around the sidewalls, you see, I just go in with the very tip of the bit and use very light pressure to kind of thin it out. I don't focus on removing it completely. Once it's thin, that lifted area, usually you're going to see a little bit of white where the acrylic is. You can then, when going in with your cuticle bits or sanding band, then it will kind of flake it away. But I feel like if you use the super hard bit to remove lifting, you run the risk of actually damaging your client's nails or hurting them or anything like that. So I just included this so you can kind of see what my removal process is like. This is what I do for all clients when they come in with a previous set. And that is wrapped up. So this client actually wanted to go shorter. If you saw the orange set versus the sage green kind of set we had before, she has been asking for her sets to be shorter and shorter. And it's breaking my heart because we were just getting her back to longer nails, but she needs it for work, so I totally understand. So I'm just going in really quickly and just clipping these clear tips down. There is a thin layer of clear acrylic on these nails, so you're gonna see a bit of them snapping. I'm gonna fix that later. If I knew we were gonna be going down so short, I would have just used the e-file to kind of, file across the nail, and that way we wouldn't be damaging that clear acrylic layer. But no biggie, I'm just using my straight edge clipper to kind of just but get the length down for her. Some of the tips, you're gonna see, are chipping around the edges. That's just because I'm using a straight edge clipper and the acrylic is a little bit thick in terms of that clear acrylic. So it's kind of snipping around the tip of her nails, but I'm going to fix that with the clear acrylic layer that I lay a little bit later. So just going in with my normal prep, I sprayed her down with some alcohol, and I'm just using a cuticle pusher. This is a rubber tipped one. I alternate between the metal and the rubber tips. Honestly, the rubber tips one were closer than the metal ones. But if I have a client who has like a tougher cuticle, then I will go for that metal cuticle pusher to kind of scrape it away from the nail plate. But in this case, I'm literally just pushing the skin back as best as possible. And this one doesn't do too much, but in this case, she doesn't have crazy thick cuticles that grow in, so it was, it worked for this time. Then I'm going in with my diamond Skiver Bit. This is a diamond abrasion, so it's kind of similar to an emery board or a nail file. It's safe for the natural nail, and I have this really slow, pretty much the slowest speed. Once you turn on my e-file, I use the Coupa e-file. It starts off at this really slow speed. I'm assuming it's about 3, 4, 5,000 RPM. And I try to keep this bit as flat as possible to the nail as possible. You do not want to angle it like to an angle, like a 45-degree angle, like if you're writing with a pen. You want it to be almost flat to the nail. Otherwise, you're going to kind of dig into the grooves into the nail and cause things called rings of fire. You do not want that. They're very visible and then eventually have to just grow out with the client's nail. So I'm just using this to kind of lift up any dead skin that I see on the back portion of the nail. This is usually where you're going to see a lot of lifting. So the better the prep, the better the surface is going to be. You saw that those nails didn't have significant lifting, and the previous set before that did really well. So you just, you want to prep as best you can so that your enhancement lasts for your client. Now I'm going in with a sanding band on a mandrel bit, and I am lightly, you can see I'm barely touching the nail, just dusting that natural nail that has grown out. This is also where you're going to be able to remove any lifting if necessary. So if you thinned out your lifting with the carbide bit that we used before, then you're going to be able to just easily flake the lifted pieces away with the sanding band. I'm also using it to just dust her natural nail, remove any shine, just give it a light buffing so that whatever we apply on top has a little bit of grit to stick to. Just doing a quick file to smooth out the surface of the nails. I did go in with that straight edge clip and they were a little bit jagged, so I just wanted to give myself a preliminary shaping for these nails. We're going super straight, super square on this short set. I just find that if the shape is super sharp, especially for a shorter set, it just looks uber fantastic. So just making sure to, make sure that they're nice and straight before we get started with any enhancements. Time for prep. I'm going in with my OG system. This is the Mia Secret Dehydrator. All it does is just remove any moisture from the nail. It dehydrates. It's kind of like an alcohol-based product, and it just removes any moisture. Then I'm going in with the Mia Secret Extra Bond. This is your primer, and you can see me applying it to the back portion of the nail that has grown out and to the tips, because I am going to be replacing some of that acrylic, and I just wanted to make sure that it's stuck there too, right there in the corner there. Then I'm going to go in with the Not Polish Extra Bond. So I'm using 2 different primers here. You do whatever works for you. So to begin my refill, infill, redesign process, I like to lay a clear base of clear acrylic. Like you saw when I was doing the previous removal, we were able to file down to this clear acrylic layer and the nail was safe. So this is technically my infill or refill that I do for my clients before adding any type of design. I really enjoy doing this. So many benefits. What I'm doing there is rebuilding the tip of those nails. So I was mentioning that when I was clipping these tips down, some of them fractured around the corners of the edge of the free edge of the nail. So all I did was take a small bead of acrylic, kind of let it dry out a bit, and just use my brush to kind of mold it back to build up that tip wherever the the acrylic had flaked off before, if that makes sense. So I'm basically rebuilding the tip just by patting that product as it's polymerizing, just pressing it wherever I need it to be. I want it to be nice and flat and have somewhat of a square shape so that we have a nice foundation to kind of build our design on a little bit later. I'm actually using a new brush in this video. This is the Kiara Sky size 14 brush. I just figured I'd try it. I've been buying a lot of Kiara Sky products. It comes round, so I did have to crimp it. I crimped it a lot. I really do enjoy a super flat brush, but I'm gotta say, I gotta like finesse this brush a little bit. It had a few jagged pieces, like jagged hairs on the end that I think I need to trim so that they're like super straight, because when I was applying the acrylic, it was kind of getting up on the skin a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. But I'm gonna switch brushes over time. The brush is fantastic, worked great, but I just need to like trim it a little bit. There were like a tiny little hairs that were sticking off the tip, and I was like, damn, this is messing me up, you know? So for basically, I'm just refilling. You see me do a super tiny bead of clear acrylic right at the cuticle. That is technically that refill or infill or backfill. And then if there happens to be a nail where the acrylic kind of chipped in that clip down process, you see me carefully building back up that nail tip with an extra bead of acrylic and just waiting for it to kind of polymerize. So again, here's my cuticle bead, just refill, place, pushing it up to the cuticle and to the sidewalls, and then swiping down, boom, refill, done. Then I'm gonna go in around that tip right there. You're gonna see me rebuilding it back up, and then we're gonna have a nice base so that we can build this design on. So we are going super simple with this short design. I'm going in with one color, and it's my new favorite nude. I'm trying my best not to use it on everybody, but it is so gorgeous. This is First Nude by Not Polish. I love this color so much, and it is quickly becoming my new favorite nude for all of my clients. I actually think I used it on her in that orange set. I think that was the orange. No, that's not true. I used it on a different client. I think I used Valentino on her for that orange set. Either way, I've been using this color a lot. So this is definitely happening. I am just going to be applying a thin coat of this colored acrylic to all of her nails. For pretty much all of the nails, I'm just gonna try and one bead it. It doesn't really make sense to try and add multiple beads. One, these nails are super short. You do not wanna have excess bulk on these short acrylic nails. Nothing worse than a bulky, blocky, kind of chunky nail that's like super short. You don't need that much structure. So I'm just adding it for coverage, and I will not be clear capping these nails. The only nail that I'm gonna add multiple beads to is the thumb, I believe, and that's just because the thumb is a little bit wider. I always feel like I can't one bead the thumb, just out of, trying to be careful of making sure that the product gets everywhere it needs to without running. I just multiple bead the thumb, but for the most part, you don't have to worry about being able to one bead. These are super short nails, so it's not very difficult. Just focus on getting good coverage, especially for a length like this. You don't have to worry too much about building up an apex, getting good coverage, and then having an even surface to your acrylic. And then, you know, it'll come with time in terms of like picking up the appropriate size bead or anything like that. Same as always, I am cleaning the sidewalls, patting that product towards the center of the nail. I do not want these nails to be any wider than they were with my pre-file, and I was able to build up the base with that clear acrylic layer, so we all have a nice semi-square tip on every single nail. So just making sure that every single nail is coated nicely with this First Nude Color by Knot polish. And here is how I do my thumb application. Usually thumbs I do in 2 or more beads. I try to apply one towards the middle of the nail, always pressing it towards the sidewall so that we get good coverage as we work the product down, and then just patting. I like to use more of a dry brush than dipping it into my monomer constantly so that the product is like drying as it's working, so I can kind of mold it. You're gonna see me being able to achieve a super sharp square shape before even filing with the acrylic. That's because as the acrylic is setting, I'm constantly patting the sides and the bottom or the free edge of that nail so that we can kind of mold the acrylic to the shape we want it to be in. I think that this is just something that I love that I've picked up to do because it honestly gives me so much less work to do towards the end of the service, you know what I mean? If you apply acrylic super sloppily and your shape is all warped, you're gonna have a lot of filing to do afterwards, and I don't want to be filing that much. Honestly, filing is like my least favorite part of doing the nails, so I always try to focus during this acrylic application on a very clean free edge application. As you can see, the bottom of her thumb, the free edge of her thumb is nice and sharp. I don't have to do too much after that. Then I'm just going in with my cuticle bead. I place it slightly below the cuticle and then take some time to push it wherever I need it to be for coverage, and then just blending it over the previous acrylic bead that's there, making sure to again clean my side walls and not mess up that shape. And for the most part, that's a really beautiful application. Boom, now it's time to e-file. I'm going in with this medium. This is a narrow carbide bit. It's a non-safety, so always be careful when working with non-safeties. I love them just because that sharp edge, I feel like I can really get up into that cuticle and sidewall area and thin that area out than I can with like a rounded safety top. I just feel like I can't get close enough with the safeties, but definitely use whatever works well for you. What I'm doing here is basically debulking if necessary, but mainly smoothing out the surface of the nail and cleaning up in case there's any product touching the skin. Nothing crazy here. After e-filing, I like to go in with my hand file. So this is where I talk about if you do a good application in terms of acrylic work, you don't have to do very much work here. You're gonna see me, I'm not spending very much time filing these nails. All I'm focusing on is crispening up that free edge nice and sharp. Look, the pinky is already done. Even before filing this ring finger, you can kind of see the shape is nice and clean. That's what I focus on. It's my personal goal to always, have nails like this. But do what works for you. I adopted this just because it just makes sense for me. It's less work. I think it's, working smarter, not harder. I don't want to be filing. It's so much work on your arms and your shoulders and your wrists. And if you want like longevity in a nail career, you got to take care of your body. So if you apply your acrylic nicely, then, as you can see, you don't have to do very, very much work. And I'm not putting in too much effort to make sure that we get these nice, beautiful, crisp square nails for her. So just to ensure that these nails were uber smooth and ready for our polish design, I'm just going in with this buffing block and I'm just giving her a good buffing on all of the nails. This helps to smooth the surface extra just to further smooth the surface. Also, I low-key use it to remove any acrylic that's like on the skin. As you can see, there's acrylic like on her, around her cuticle and sidewall areas. This helps to remove that too. And I like to not apply, but buff the bottom of the nail as well. When filing, the nails get really sharp around those edges, which I mean, we love as nail techs because it's like aesthetically beautiful, but it is very sharp for clients. You don't want them like scratching their face or anything. So I like to go in under the nail as well, just to kind of soften up that shape. It doesn't round the nails, but it definitely just gives it a soft touch so that the client can kind of function without scratching themselves. Then I'm spraying her down with some alcohol because we've got to clean things up, dehydrate, and get ready for some gel application. We're doing a super cool design that she brought, and look at this beautiful base that we have here. Beautiful color, first nude by Not Polish. So we're going in with a black gel polish. This is from iGel Beauty. Nothing crazy, you can use any black gel polish, and we're going to be applying 2 coats. I'm only showing you one, but 2 very thin coats of black gel polish. I'm stressing the fact that they have to be thin. Black polish kind of resists light going through it, so if you apply a very thick layer of black or super opaque colors of polish, the light won't be able to penetrate and cure the product. So that's when you end up with things like rippling in your polish, or if you've ever experienced anything like that, just work in thinner coats. So I'm actually doing 2 very thin coats of polish, taking my time to apply this product. I don't want to like make any mistakes in terms of the polish application because it is black and will get very messy. Once happy, I'm gonna have her cure for 60 seconds each, cleaning up before we send her into the LED light. Once that's done, we're actually going to be doing this really cool marble design that I've kind of done on my channel before, but we did it on white. So this is like the opposite. So I'm going in with this white gel liner and just drawing these random kind of like lightning strikes. That's what this looks like to me, like lightning lines. You guys know what lightning looks like. I don't even know how to describe it, but I'm basically drawing this random line, squiggly, really loose-handed. And then I'm going to take some alcohol, or in this case, I'm using Young Nail Swipe and a tiny little paintbrush, and I'm just going to thin out that polish. So because it's a gel polish, it will break down with alcohol-based products, and I just want to shear it out. So I don't want them to be opaque white lines. I kind of want to erase them a tiny bit and have them fade a bit. One way that I did this before, when I did this design, was to use blooming gel. And that totally helped, but I just figured I'd try it this way as well because it just, you know, different, why not? So I am taking this brush, I'm dipping it into the alcohol, and as you can see, it's kind of wearing out that color, and then I'm erasing wherever necessary just to get a sheer touch of the white on top of the black. Once happy on both fingers, I am going to cure, and then that will be locked down on these 2 black nails. And to add just a touch of the darker white, I'm going in really lightly with a light touch with the same white and kind of drawing over those areas just a tiny bit. The effect that it's giving is kind of like you have a blurred out white area behind this super stark white squiggly lightning line. I don't know if that makes sense, but it kind of gives me the effect of marble on the nail. That's what I thought. I think it came out pretty cool. Once happy, I'm gonna have her cure again, and then these 2 nails will be locked down. So for the rest of the nails, we're actually gonna be drawing this oblong kind of abstract French design. So it's kind of like that weird kind of swirly thing we've been seeing on nails all, summer, but I'm gonna do it as a French, like a diagonal French across her nail. So I am taking the black, you saw I just drew a loose kind of wavy line going diagonally around the tip of her nail, and then we're gonna actually double the line. I'm gonna do a very, very thin line, kind of tracing around that edge. There you go. And I'm just gonna take my time and, try not to touch the two lines together. This is black and I am notorious for not curing in between. So if you make a mistake at this point, no biggie, just take some gel polish, erase it, and start over. And I'm trying to make sure that the lines don't look the same. Again, we want them to be super abstract and kind of loose, but have the effect of a kind of abstract oblongy kind of French design, double line French, if you will. Once happy, I will have her cure again. Final step for this super pretty short set is to glossy top coat. So I'm taking Gloss It from Not Polish, and we are just going to give it a nice coating. I'm going to clean up the sidewalls and have her cure for 60 seconds. This set is basically done. So here's what that set came up looking like. Super crisp, super pretty, and super great for these short nails. And I love that nude underneath. Here's another shot for you. Hopefully you like this video. Like if you like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.